the younger generation being forced onto Rumble. Rumble's great. I like Rumble, but it's not where the younger generation is.
Yeah, this is what Jordan Peterson was saying years ago.
That's weird. How does that work? Is just like there's not a lot of appeal for younger people to be watching a whole bunch of like far-right conspiracy people and Eric and Donald Trump?
By banning me, by banning a word, they're admitting that that word is somehow something they don't want people talking about. So
the word's not banned. I tweeted the word the other day. It's not a banned word. You're banned from using it as a form of discrimination against LGBTQ plus people, especially when you have zero evidence. So if you just accuse someone of being a pedophile by virtue of them just being queer, yeah, that's banned. And it's about time. Now, Steven Crowder just got a 2-week ban on the YouTubes. And if I got my news from a one tinkle, I would actually start to believe things. Like, Steven Crowder got banned for 14 days on YouTube and is now streaming on Rumble Video instead. He just passed 90,000 live viewers. The age of YouTube's hegemony is over. We're living in a multipolar social media world. Interesting. Cool. But that's not the one I was looking for. I wanted to see why can I learn why he was banned? Let me get this straight. Steven Crowder calls for the complete dismantling of the FBI and the deep state on his YouTube channel. Then, days later, he receives 7-day suspensions from YouTube. Yeah, that sounds about right. So much for free speech. So it was because he had the bravery. He was the first person to call for defunding the FBI. No one on the left has ever had the audacity to say such things on the YouTube streaming service. Wow. Multipolarity soy. Anyways.
Let me jump to this story here from louderwithcrowder.com. Crowder's been suspended, guys. We don't know why. Crowder doesn't know exactly why. It was his interview with Kari Lake. We've had her on the show several times. We've not had these issues. We've talked about a whole lot. Team Crowder writes, ladies and gentlemen, the Orwellian censors at YouTube are at it again. This time, they've chosen to not only target Louder with Crowder, but to silence Republican gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake. Our interview with the Arizona gubernatorial candidate has been removed from YouTube over their alleged misinformation policy. Crowder is unable to live stream on YouTube for the next 2 weeks. What specifically ran afoul of the policy, only YouTube knows. But our lawyer, William Richmond, will be getting answers.
If this isn't the suppression of political speech, then nothing is. This is just an assault on free speech. It's an attack of the democratic process. It's the silencing of political opponents, and it's no coincidence it has been done by a candidate endorsed by Donald Trump only months before the general election. My word. The freedom tellers. They're here, and then they're getting silenced. This is, like Nightmare Brady Bunch right now, by the way. What's going on here? Come on, knock on our door.
We'll share with you on the show Thursday, August 18th. There will be a show. I think this is really important, guys. If you guys are, typically tune in to Crowder, now make sure you tell everybody what happened because they're having shows. I'm assuming they're going to be putting them up on Rumble. Rumble.com/C/Steven Crowder. And welcome to midterms, everybody. We knew this was going to get crazy. Who did we have on who just told us it was going to get really crazy? Was it Naomi Wolf?
Yeah, possibly.
I think it was Naomi. She was like, it's going to get crazy.
Yeah,
that was a good episode, too.
It's going to get crazy.
Oh, yeah, Naomi Wolf. That's right. The anti-vax conspiracy theorist who thought a porn star was a doctor. Yeah, I remember that. That was fun. That was good stuff. So anyways, if you're wondering, Steven Crowder had on a very big fan of Donald Trump, candidate Kari Lake, who spoke quite profusely about how the election was stolen. Of course, election conspiracy theorists. I don't know why everyone is believing Trump at face value on this kind of stuff when it's been proven over and over and over that this entire thing was a ruse. You were all scammed, unfortunately. I know there's no one who listens to me in the MAGA camp, but if there's one, and just one, I can reach out to you. I hate to be the one to break it to you, but they are lying to you. There are Republican governors who backed up the actual election results and had to come forward and be like, yeah, no, sorry. It turns out that Donald Trump did not justifiably win the presidency of the United States of America. Yes. And you've had an election steal before, right-wingers. You got that with Bush v. Gore. You got one. So is that not enough? Are you not happy with that? Could you just take that win and then you could take this fake stolen election and maybe have them cancel each other out?
Yeah, you think they're suspending Crowder? They're gonna do everything they can to try and diminish the voice of those who oppose the establishment. They don't like that Liz Cheney lost. They're going after Alex Jones. They're trying to indict Donald Trump. They just took Crowder down for 2 weeks.
Alex Jones was sued by the families, not by the government, not by YouTube. Get that through your beanie. Jesus.
Off YouTube.
Do
That
you think
matters. You know
they're,
why? You know what? Just real quick. You know why YouTube matters? 95% of Gen Z says they use YouTube. It is the dominant platform for the younger generation.
That's right.
This is where people need to be reaching. The younger generation being forced onto Rumble. Rumble's great. I like Rumble, but it's not where the younger generation is.
Yeah, this is what Jordan Peterson was saying years ago.
That's weird. How does that work? Is just like there's not a lot of appeal for younger people to be watching a whole bunch of like far right conspiracy people and Eric and Donald Trump. Like, the Rumble page, it's so right wing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against there being alternatives to big tech. I actually think big tech should be broken up. So that's not my problem. Oh, Libs of TikTok. It's the front page. Libs of TikTok, the #1 top video. Wow. These are people teaching your kids they, them story time. Wow. Then we have, what are some of our other favorites here? Redacted News, fun. Rand Paul, One American News Network, got it. Ben Hedges, some money. Eric, known, crypto, Bitcoin, is it over for price? Dan Bongino, the battle leaderboard. Dan Bongino. Oh, the salty C word is #2. What a surprise. Steven Crowder is #3. Donald Trump Jr. is #4. Well, there we have it. How excited is Donald Trump Jr. in this video?
Okay, guys, today we're going to talk about what I've heard are the whistleblowers in the FBI finally coming out and speaking. I've heard, Jim Jordan has like 14 of them finally coming out. Now, again,
Doesn't sound that high, to be fair. I've heard him higher.
When he was asked why he was going on YouTube and doing videos instead of writing articles or something. And he was like, I wanted to reach the most people.
Yeah.
So that's why I went on YouTube. Do you think they're going to indict Trump?
I think they are absolutely.
They really
absolutely
want
going to. They are going to.
They have to now, I guess.
Yeah.
Here's the
People are
thing.
saying.
Here's the thing. Washington, D.C., there is no justice in Washington, D.C. The D.C. justice system has been co-opted so much by the left that I do not doubt for one freaking second that Merrick Garland is going to find a corrupt grand jury in D.C. that is going to unseal corrupt indictments on Donald Trump for crimes that he never committed. I absolutely believe that 100% because they want to stop him. They've seen the polls showing that he is beating Joe Biden in 2024, and they want to stop him, and this is the way that they're going to do it. But it's not going to work, obviously. I don't think it's going to work.
What are they going to
So, your daddy, Trump, he could have just given them back 2 months ago. This whole thing could have been, like, if this is some incredibly deep Machiavellian plot in order to take down the political opponent of Joe Biden, you know who could have thwarted it? Donald Trump. If you'd just given them back. But he's just got this ego, that one. He's a big old scamp, and he just was like, no, they're mine. They're my nuclear secrets. I'm going to hold on to them. Why? We'll never know. What he intended to do with them, who's to say? But, yeah.
indict him on?
They're going to find something.
I thought they weren't going to do it because it's a step over the line. They would just dangle it in front of everybody like, oh, we did a search warrant. That proves he's a criminal. That's what they're saying. And they wouldn't cross that line. But now what people are saying, and I'm starting to agree, because I'm not entirely sure, is that the move against Trump was so egregious they have no choice but to lean into it. Otherwise, it just looks political. So they.
Okay, so this is going to go right back to the conversation we seem to have all the time about freeze peach. Delicious, beautiful, curvy freeze peach. Ooh, yeah. Private corporations, they aren't beholden to you and me, all right? They are definitely inflated and propagated by our content. We make the content for them. We give them our sweet, juicy content, but they get to dictate and decide what they will or will not allow on their platforms. Typically, it's going to be along a very commercial line because they don't want them to fill up with pedophiles and Nazis and stuff like that. So that's the initial stuff. That's probably the first tier that they're just going to have. And now they're adding things like they're going to be protecting people for race, religion, gender, ethnicity, things like that. It's usually another tier that they're going to add. These are not things we're going to tolerate on our platforms. Either way, we don't get a say in that. You and me don't, right? I mean, you can go and build your own platform. You can do that. That's what some people have tried to do with Parler and Gab and stuff like that. Rumble seems to be a success story in that arena. But outside of that, they control the public sphere. They also control the websites that we use every day. We go to about 4 or 5 websites, and it's just 4 or 5 companies that control these websites. That's it. So under capitalism, corporations have grown to the size where they got monopolies, they control these industries, and they get the say, and they control the speech. So there is zero free speech under corporate platforms. There never will be. It is impossible. They can do whatever they want. Tomorrow, if Twitter really wanted to, they could just close 100,000 accounts for no reason. They could just be like, that. It's like, it's our company. I mean, we get to do that. No, we don't have a reason. We just do whatever we want. Bap. Here, I'll do it again. Bap. Oh, 200 gone. Bap. 3. Can do. So, my point in all this being that for people like Tim Pool and all of them who think that there is a political witch hunt going down because YouTube wants its platform to be more commercial friendly, they don't want people to be spreading anti-vax information. They don't want people on there talking about how you should drink bleach to be able to cure your COVID, stuff like that. They don't want people spreading conspiracy theories on their websites to such a degree that they might either be Holocaust deniers or people like Alex Jones who are Sandy Hook deniers or stuff like that. That's going to be the prerogative of those corporations. Now, if you want to have people like Steven Crowder platforming people who say the election was stolen even though it wasn't, well, YouTube says no. And they say, well, we're going to give you a 2-week ban. They still let Crowder get away with just worlds of racism and transphobia and homophobia. Like, holy hell, do they ever let Crowder do whatever the fuck he wants? Like, Crowder obviously just pushes them to the brink all the time, being like, how much can I get away with? You know, I'm gonna do some fucking really racist impersonations. Maybe I'll say some 1350s shit. Maybe I'll talk about black DNA and birth rates and other things, like, you know, that kind of stuff. It's YouTube's fine with that. They don't have a problem.
They have to come up with something to justify why they did.
They have spent 6 years searching for a crime.
Yes.
In every other,
and trying to fabricate some.
well, they
fabricated evidence to justify
Yeah.
spying on Trump, and Kevin Kleinsmith, I believe his name is, received a 1-year probation sentence for doing so.
And not only that, but he got his he's now has his law license back by the DC bar in good standing.
That's crazy.
And then there's the other FBI lawyer. The guy who just got acquitted. What the heck's his name? He altered evidence in an email he was another guy who altered evidence to justify spying, and he just got acquitted for it. He even though it was his crime was in writing, and a DC jury that consisted of 2 Hillary Clinton donors and a woman whose daughter went to school with his daughter voted to acquit him. The guy's name escapes.
It's got to be pointed out the double standard here, because, like, yes, the right is starting to wake up to concepts like the authoritative power of the state and how they can exert that power on things that they deem to be, let's just say, troubling to the interests of the state. The right is starting to wake up to that. But how did they wake up to that? It wasn't by virtue of existing the way, say, like black people or gay people or trans people or indigenous people have throughout their lives. It was because they weren't allowed to smash the fucking Capitol building and take the presidency by force. It's like, whoa. And then that's how they found out that prisons are kind of fucked up too. They're like, it's kind of fucked up that the quality of life they have in these jail cells is really bad, and they're not getting really nutritious meals. And this one guy says that he can only eat organic food, and they refuse to give him that in prison. I mean, it's kind of almost, and some of them are being put in the solitary confinement. Sounds kind of like torture to me, you know, all this kind of stuff. And now it's like, wow, the FBI can come after a rich billionaire. Who are they going to come for next? In the same, like, fucking a week prior. Yeah, it was a week prior that a black socialist group got raided by the FBI. And there was no defund the FBI coming out of the right then. It's just like, oh, wait, you went after rich billionaire daddy. Oh, they can come after any of us then. Any of us.
A Cincinnati FBI office. What happens?
Didn't he go in with a nail gun? Wasn't it a nail
Because
gun?
people think that nail guns can get through bulletproof or something like that. It's
Oh,
nonsense.
that's not a...
I don't know if Tim Pool's making that up or if that's genuinely what the person believed. I have no idea. But what? That's the reason he was carrying a nail gun?
thing.
One
It's
of the
not a
things
thing.
that happens is people turn on TV, find out what's going on, and they find shows like
It's
this.
true?
So it's up to us.
People think that nail guns can get through. People think nail guns can get through bullet. Why would you assume that? The nail gun was to break windows? That's what I thought it was for. Now I need to know science. Because he read it on the internet. Oh. The nail goes through the glass, but the glass is still left intact. It doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, I know. Oh, if you use it, like I used to work in construction. If you pushed, by the way, you can't really use a nail gun as a weapon because it has a safety thing. You'd have to have something that presses that forward. Like it actually make impact upon the surface of the board that it's going to shoot. But like if you did a nail gun on a glass, the nail, like it would just go inside and that would be it. The glass wouldn't like, or anything like that. It'd be so silly. Nail gun versus body armor, crazy results.
All right, guys, I'm back today with a really interesting and weird video.
Senior investigative
on the
reporter.
powder actuated nail gun. If you're under 22, I want to show you around. So it stopped that, but can it stop the nail gun? This will be really is gnarly. That just blasted right through that. So this will stop a 9mm, but it won't stop the nail gun. That is
that why? Is it watching YouTube videos and being like, well, as the revolution is taking place, I'm going to need to be able to get through some bulletproof probably. Also, I don't know what you're expecting to happen if like it's you versus the largest like federal police apparatus in history. Like, are you going to take down the United States FBI by yourself? Probably the Anarchist Cookbook. No, the Anarchist Cookbook has legitimate things. Like, I don't think it's all, like, lies in its recipes. Can a nail gun defeat bulletproof gas? God damn it. People have been doing too much internet.
Nail we got is the 2 stuff is like 5.56 and up. So, pretty good stuff and stops bullets pretty easily, but can it stop a powder actuated nail gun? Let's find out. All right, the biggest nail we got is the 2.5-inch nails, but this is obviously more than enough to the strongest one I got. Wow. Straight through it.
But then what? Like, these motherfuckers are behind bulletproof glass. I'm gonna destroy the bulletproof glass with my nail gun. It's like, yes. Now there's a nail sticking out of the other side. It has not shattered the bulletproof glass.
So this might not surprise a lot of you guys as much as it did me, but that is freaking impressive, dude. Look.
Yeah, I feel like he was watching these kind of videos and then was like, "Oh yes, this is how I'll get through, break through the bulletproof glass."
In a lot of ways, people are kind of
they turn on YouTube,
changing the tone of the narrative, and tone is big right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's all
That's
about
why
tone.
everyone's coming down.
I don't know what will happen, but
the
what I
controversial
do
channels.
know is I think it's going to light an effing fire under the GOP base.
Yeah,
that's
this is funny.
absolutely what it's going to.
I saw a meme that showed.
Hey, are any of you going to talk about Steven Crowder? This is a fucking 19-minute video. Are you still talking about
corrupt,
the FBI?
Soros-funded district attorney and a terrible mayor, and this guy came home to attend his friend's funeral.
But yeah, it changed overnight. Giuliani cleaned up the city, and then Bloomberg came in and paid for everything.
Who are hurt by this, and the reason Eric Adams won is because, but like Hollywood, iconic American cities that have been.
And
we just start
get Amazon.
God, it's just every single time. It's like, you know, those word jumble things where it's just like we use this sorting system to show you the words more prominent, or like dialogue trees. It would just look like a Rorschach test. Yeah, like their dialogue trees, unlike having like tiers like normal people do, theirs is just like paint on a wall, like. And it's like you can start talking about something, and then in 15 minutes they'll be talking about baby formula causing weird birth rates, into we all have credit cards in our systems, into this is why Barack Obama was from Mars, like all this kind of shit. It's all over the place. Okay, this one's much funner. If you didn't know, James Lindsay, the person who loves using the G word, he loves the word groomer. He loves saying it to everybody. He used to love screaming it at people on the internet. He even called breakfast cereals groomers. He just kept saying it over and over. It was his favorite insult. He called me a groomer. I have, the privilege of saying multiple times if I was to point something out. He eventually did ban me on Twitter before he got banned permanently, but he did ban me on Twitter for pointing out that he's kind of frenzies with one of the top inner circle leaders of the NXIVM cult. Yeah, the pedophile NXIVM cult. And he didn't like me posting photos of him going on road trips with the Inner Circle member of the Nexium cult. And then he didn't actually, I think he wouldn't have banned me had his own fans not turned on him. It was when his own fans were like, hate the serfs. I mean, the serfs suck, but like, can you explain this? Can you at least like condemn it or something? And he's like, I owe you nothing. But he's banned on Twitter and wanted to find out, in his words, the reason.
Can you clarify what?
Oh, you don't know the other dude? This is Elijah Schaefer, and he's definitely an up-and-coming hero of the far right. He is a self-described Christian nationalist. He has very extremist views. He also hates Chinese people, which I guess is one of the things that makes him a little unique outside of his cohorts. There's usually people who talk about how much they might hate China or hate the CCP, but he'll just be open and proud about the fact that he despises Chinese people. He tweets about it. It's really, really fucked up and weird and yeah, super racist. Anyways, so yeah, he's part of the Blaze network. He used to have a show with Sydney Watson, who is another conservative figure, but he was too extreme for her. Oh, I should also add that he still has, I believe, a tweet up of him in the Doom, the old Doom cover, you know, where the guy is shooting all the monsters, and it's a picture of him as the picture of the soldier, and he's labeled all the monsters as trans kids. So he has a joke, if you want to put it in the loosest of quotation marks, about him murdering trans children that is still up on the Twitters. Yep.
What the hell is happening, and how did you go from shedding light on some of the sickest and most perverted people being held accountable in our country to that?
Like Fruit Loops. He literally called a box of Fruit Loops groomer cereal. Thank you for holding Fruit Loops accountable for their many crimes of adding they them pronouns to the back of a box, keeping us all safe.
That being a crime and you getting punished for it.
Well, you know, I get asked this question all the time. Can you shed light on what's happening? And I always answer with the same word. It's annoying to a lot of people, but the word is communism. What's happening is communism.
Oh, it was a communism, everybody. He got communized. That's what happened. Yep. Yep. He got banned on Twitter for violating their terms of service because communism. Communism did this.
Communism has known for over 100 years that you sexualize the children if you want to get a revolution. Of course, you render the children useless after the revolution, so you have to do.
I'm going to play that one back for all of you to hear again, and I hope this will be a sobering moment for the perhaps few stragglers who still think there's any shred of intelligence or credibility to this man, because the sentence he just said out loud is that communism has known for well over 100 years that the way to achieve the revolution is by sexualizing children. And of course, once this happens, you have to do away with the children because they have no use anymore. That's the sentence that he just said out loud. Let's play it again.
What's happening? And I always answer with the same word. It's annoying to a lot of people, but the word is communism. What's happening is communism. Communism has known for over 100 years that you sexualize the children if you want to get a revolution. Of course, you render the children useless after the revolution, so you have to do away with them after they've been used for their purposes.
Now, this is brainworms that I have not encountered before, and there is a long list of contenders, but this is basically someone who wants to rewrite their own narrative and version of the world into whatever they don't like is going to be bad thing. So this is basically being like, well, communism is when children are sexualized to usher in the revolution, and then after the revolution, the children must be discarded. That's communism. You don't even have to like communism to understand why this is so utterly and completely ridiculous. Like, at what point do we just discard language altogether? Words have no meaning. There is no utility to this. Why even speak? Why don't we just walk around going blah, 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 blah. I mean, maybe this is a speaking in tongues thing. I don't know, which is always funny to see.
But what's happening is that there's a rampant attempt to hide behind LGBT people to push an agenda of Marxist grooming through what they call queer theory. And it has a humongous corporate protection racket around it and media protection racket around it, including from Media Matters, and Twitter is actively complicit.
Again, so we can be clear, and so everyone understands what is being said, apparently communism is when sexualization of children to usher in the revolution so that they can then be discarded with, and it has a direct collaboration with neoliberal capitalism and big tech, who are utilizing LGBTQ people as a shield in order to take down anyone who disagrees with them. That's That's what's happening right now. That's what, these are the words coming out of his mouth. Yeah, that's the sentence that he is saying. That is the thoughts and ideas he is trying to impart both onto Elijah Schaffer, the Christian nationalist, and the audience who may be watching. Like, and people will most likely be like, oh, I didn't know that's what it was all about. Oh, I didn't know that. So groomer communism, I guess? That's what it is?
And the protection of the sexualizing of children through queer ideology, which is extremely alarming, extremely concerning, and probably I refer to this as them crossing the uncrossable line. So I think it's going to also be their downfall in the end. But you said at the beginning of this discussion, in fact, that this is them taking an L by banning me, by banning a word. They're admitting that that word is somehow something they don't want people talking about. So
the word's not banned. I tweeted the word the other day. It's not a banned word. You're banned from using it as a form of discrimination against LGBTQ plus people, especially when you have zero evidence. So if you just accuse someone of being a pedophile by virtue of them just being queer, yeah, that's banned. And it's about fucking time, because that's utterly ridiculous that happens. That's one of those decisions where I was like, oh, finally, because that's something that people in the LGBTQ plus, broadly speaking, for generations have had to constantly deal with. The vilification of them as being pedophiles, as being groomers, by these people who, like, they claim they care about kids. They're always saying like, oh, this is about kids. We care about kids. We care about fetuses, all this kind of stuff. You never go after the pedophiles. You never talk about the pedophiles. When are you going to bring up the Catholic Church? When are you going to talk about that? When are you going to talk about all the cases and lawsuits that happen? When are you going to talk about the Boy Scouts of America? When the tens of thousands of cases of pedophilia? When are you going to talk about all the right-wing Republicans who are caught being pedos? When are you going to talk about the human traffickers? When are you going to talk about Matt Gaetz? When are you going to bring up any of this kind of stuff? When are you going to talk about the actual facts when it involves child abuse? The actual facts. Like, the majority of victims of child abuse are done by close friends and relatives. Talk about that. Inform people about that. Let people know about this kind of stuff. Spread it far and wide. If you care about the welfare of children, you would bring up any of these things. You would talk about any of these things. But you don't. You just hate LGBTQ plus people. That's what this is all about. And this is just your way of being able to attack them.
they're admitting there's something to it, so they're taking an L. What this does when they approve things that are obviously horrible doesn't make them okay. It makes people not trust the institution. So Media Matters right now, for example, and Harvard, I've seen all over Twitter. It turns out when you're banned, you can still look at Twitter. You just can't interact. I see that they're getting hammered for this. And
Good observation there, James. Yeah, Twitter's a website. Yeah. You could also, I mean, you could make a burner account if you really want to interact. You can get in there and see how long that lasts.
And the words like groomer and Michel Foucault and queer theory and my name have all trended thousands and thousands of tweets. It just discredits these institutions. They don't understand that well, maybe they do, but they're running on borrowed time.
I mean, fair enough. I get a very different version of Twitter than, say, someone like him, and his search history is probably going to be more catered for me. But when I clicked on the James Lindsay is trending, like, it was just people laughing their ass off at him, being like, this absolute clown. Here's another compilation of him dancing. Here's another compilation. In fact, you know what? Just as a little treat, a little piece of candy, maybe we'll watch that dancing video.
Once they start down this road.
Big shout out to Hey It's Vadim for making this in the first place. Just gotta find it. So there's that. Anyways, yeah, absolute gobbledygook. Like, that was Jordan Peterson tier word salad nonsense. coming out of James Lindsay's mouth. I've known for a while that he does that because we've seen him on multiple TV shows, and we've seen him also just get called out and served. Like, don't forget either his atrocious debate on CRT that he had, where Mark Lamont fucking just absolutely schools him, or even on Dr. Phil, where he goes off on this huge thing where it's like, oh, well, actually, CRT is a Marxist, post-Marxist thought, blah blah blah, and just goes off for a long time, and then someone was like, yeah, we're not teaching that in school, and everyone laughs, and he's like, hey, yeah, it's true.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Juste, we shall spend many a generations building mighty cathedrals in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your oafish jesters, here to offer you a laugh at any opportunity. To our brave knights of the Round Table, Rachel K., Izzy Solidarity, Victoria Bell, Sebastian Demel, Mark Harmon, Benji Arney, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood, Everything Important, Hegbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Doug Cady, Daniel Sutton, Jenna Tao, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevbot EXE, Brian Ephraim, Anthropophojak, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Nkosin, Ralph Parler, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Todd Buckingham, and Todd La Jeunesse. We salute our valiant heroes off to fight injustice everywhere.